You are listening to the Pixel Pizza Podcast. Today we are starting off with a chiptune track from Neon Cyan, and this one is called The Fourth Spatial Plane. So enjoy it, and we will see you soon with our talk.
Welcome to Pixel Pizza.
Did she say pizza?
Your ultimate source for chiptunes, video game talk, and pepperoni. Delivered to you from Los Angeles and into the digital cyberspace of the 2020s.
Pizza power!
That's right, when super giant pizza.
I want a large, thick crust with double cheese, ham, pepperoni. Hey, where's my pizza? Pizza time.
Welcome back to the Pixel Pizza Podcast, listeners. You just heard from our chiptune artist this week, Neon Cyan, and that track was called The Fourth Spatial Plane. So hope you dug that one. And now we are here with our game industry interview guest for the week. This week's guest is in Ontario, Canada, and he is the executive director of Chicken Scratch, the drawing indie game, which we will explain more as we go on, I'm sure. Keely Brown, how are you doing, Keely?
Doing well. How about you?
Doing well, thanks. Happy to be here. Happy to have you. So, Keely, when in your life did you know you wanted to work in games?
I think there was like a specific moment where I did like software as like my background originally, and I worked in like a regular software job, and I sort of had like a quarter life crisis, I like to describe it as, where I realized I really didn't want to be doing like a regular software job. And so I briefly pivoted into art and then realized I didn't have the skill set for that, and realized that game dev was sort of a nice mix of both of those two interests, and so that was sort of where I sort of started taking it more seriously, that I would do game dev as my sort of focus in life.
Yeah, and especially your game right now is very much about art, so
Mm-hmm.
it is a nice intersection.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was it like sort of taking that step and starting to make games?
It definitely took a little bit to sort of pivot from one industry to another. Like, I think it was hard in some ways in that I felt like I was playing catch up compared to other people who've been doing
Sure.
game dev for longer. But it also felt like I might also have um, a bit more of an opportunity to do that pivot because I had done, like, worked in a job where I had that experience. So when I would apply to stuff with the experience and a little bit of education stuff that I did, it just, I think it made it so I was taken a bit more seriously than if I was just trying to get into game dev with no work experience. So, but it was definitely, it was daunting making that switch originally, for sure.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I also had a quarter life crisis, and going into my new profession, I do voice acting, and there are definitely people my age or younger who are far ahead of me because they knew what they wanted in life much sooner than I did, but also all these other experiences have helped me be more, I don't want to say business savvy, but more professional.
Hmm. Definitely. I definitely feel what you mean. I think if I had tried to do game dev immediately right out of school, I don't think I would have been ready for it
Yeah.
in a similar kind of way. So,
So, were there any other games you worked on before Chicken Scratch?
nothing anyone would have heard of. It was just like some indie dev stuff. That my I took like a year long program for game dev,
Hmm.
and one of the instructors from that program pulled me on to work on his game. So that was called Engineered to Purpose, and it was sort of uh, how would I describe it? Like, very complex, very cool sci-fi tower defense game.
Oh.
Um, and then I also briefly worked on a game for 2 months. It was like an indie city builder game, and then the project kind of collapsed leading up to release, and so we all sort of had to go our separate ways after a few months of working on it. So
Mm. Well, the instructor must have thought very highly of you if he brought you on to his own project.
I I guess so. It felt sort of I was a bit confused because I was like I in the program that I took, I was like doing software for game dev stuff, and then he asked me to do game design for his game. I was like, I'm
Mm.
not really a game designer, so I don't know how well I'm going to fit into that role. But it ended up being the sort of thing that I'm more interested in, anyways. So I guess he was sort of able to pick that out, that I had the
Oh.
mindset for game design when I wasn't even thinking about that sort of thing. So
Wow. What draws you to game design in particular?
I think it's just the I like it's like my favorite kind of problem to try to solve. It's like
Mm.
it's such a like nebulous thing of you want to try to do something in the context of a game, and there's just like infinite ways that you can approach solving that particular problem, which can be scary, but also you just have so many different options for what that can look like. And so I really like the process of trying to figure out how um, how to figure out those kind of problems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So, for our audience who isn't familiar with Chicken Scratch, what are the top three things they should know?
Well, I guess maybe I'll start with just like the pitch as the first thing, which is that it's this sort of co-op drawing party game where you play as birds working in an office trying not to get fired. So that's sort of the general premise, would be thing number one. Thing number two, I think, would be the roguelike element to it. So there's two game
Oh.
modes in it. One that's sort of, I guess, yeah, maybe, yeah. There's two game modes. The one game mode is like this roguelike version of the game where you do these drawings, and then the other person has to try to guess what the original prompt was for your drawing. And the closer you are to the right answer, you earn bird bucks, and then you can use those bird bucks to then buy stuff in the shop that sort of is randomized every time. And then the stuff that you have to deal with on each day is sort of randomized as well, where like one day you might have to copy drawings from other team members who you're playing with, and other days you might have to memorize a drawing and then have to draw it. And so it's got all these different variations of the game that have this sort of like vaguely roguelike spin. It's not like a full roguelike, I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
but it has that sort of like you need to earn a certain amount in order to keep progressing through the work week type thing.
Yeah.
And then third thing, oh man. Are my two things already too big, or should
No,
I?
no, I'm still down to hear a third thing.
Okay. I think the third thing, uh, probably the thing that I find most interesting is the snags. So there are these things in Chicken Scratch where you have this sort of negative effect that's applied to the thing that you're working on, which makes it so that the drawing's harder. So, for example, there's one where if you start drawing, your lines start fading as you're drawing. So you have to like panically try to remember what you've drawn previously.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one where like your line size gets thicker over time, so you have to go quickly. Otherwise, your cursor will be so big you can't make anything tangible. And there's another one where the screen starts shrinking, so the amount of space you
Oh.
have to draw is like this little tiny space by the end of it. So it's very funny watching people play the game and be like, "What the heck is happening on the screen right now?"
Yeah, I didn't know a lot of that stuff, and I really firmly believe that the roguelike formula can be applied to any genre and be fun.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. I think there's like lots of potential places where you could take that formula and combine it into something else, and you could come up with really interesting ideas.
Yeah,
And for better or for worse, I'm trying to do it with a drawing game. It's very hard. It's
sure.
very difficult. So yeah.
But that does tie in nicely to my next question, which is certainly I have a lot of fond memories of playing games like Pictionary and Telestrations with friends. And so, what does the medium of games offer that sort of drawing style with friends gameplay that analog games might not?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, I think that the digital aspect of it just offers so much more opportunity for like what the game space can be. Like in like a regular physical drawing game, you're sort of limited by like whatever is within the box.
Mm,
Whereas in the digital format, like you could incorporate story if you wanted to somehow. Like you could try to, I'm obviously trying to take like roguelike and trying to infuse it into the game, but like you could also take like so many other different possible inspirations from other types of things and just like make it into like a genre of like maybe it's a drawing game and there's a trader in it, and then all of a sudden you have fake artist goes to New York type thing, and like and I feel like in the digital format you can take that so much further than you can with a physical game, which is just like a bit more. It has to be like a little bit simpler, I think, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
you can add more to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did the bird theme for the game come about?
So originally, the game sort of started as a game jam project. So I was very inexperienced with making games at the time. So this was like many years ago at this point. And so we were trying to make a multiplayer game in like 2 to 3 days,
Oh,
which
wow.
was very ill advised and it did not work out at all. But I kept working on it after the jam was over. And so originally it was just a sort of like drawing Papers, Please esque, like you're just doing tasks and that's it type thing. And then the artist who is working on it was just like, the game's okay so far, but like maybe we should try to come up with something that makes it a bit more exciting or interesting. I was like, okay, like what do you have in mind? He's like, what if everything was birds? And like that was sort of how it how it sort of sprang from that in the first place. So
Yeah. And then I guess the name was pretty obvious from there.
yeah, he also came up with that too. So he came up with two of the key best parts of the game, in my opinion. So
Mhm. And it's just the two of you guys working on the game to this day?
so I'd say it's mainly me working on like the programming, design, marketing, producing, etc. Just like all the things that need to be done for it.
Sure.
Um, and then I just have a lot of support from a lot of different people working on it. Like it's kind of like a solo dev project, but there's just so many other people who are sort of supporting that in terms of like the artwork, music, sound effects, design. That's all stuff that I've gotten a lot of help from a lot of people on.
That's so great. It's kind of that it takes a village mentality.
Yeah, very much so.
Are there any people who have helped along the way that you want to shout out?
Well, obviously, artist Matt Belanger. He's very, very funny guy, very creative, very like he's very spontaneous. He comes up with so many cool and interesting ideas, and I love working with him on stuff when he has the time to be doing that sort of thing. And there's also other people who sort of helped with art related stuff. Cassia Waronko has been doing a lot of like really cool stuff on in terms of like the splash art, which has been like really big for helping get people to sort of take a look at the game. Helped a lot
Mm,
with like the trailer and the sort of opening screen of the game. She really like pushed it a lot further, which I think is like really cool. And Marek Saglowski did all the music for the game, which like he's like also him and Matt both do like improv stuff together, and
oh,
he brings that sort of like improv energy to music, where he just like does like jazz, and it's a really cool, unique style in terms of his music that I really appreciate. And I've play tested the game so much, and I don't put the music on mute, so it's a testament to his music that I haven't gotten sick of it yet.
mhm.
And lastly, I wanted to shout out Stephen Halsey, who's done a lot of great stuff with the sound effects in the game and really brought a lot of moments to light in terms of just like bringing in that extra energy to the game in general. So,
That's cool. You have so many people helping out, and they all
mm-hmm.
sound like really fun people to work with.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So you mentioned play testing in there. Tell me more about how that process has been for you.
So I'd say I'm sort of like a playtesting evangelist in terms of I think that you should be playtesting your game as frequently and as early on as you can. And with Chicken Scratch, I've sort of gotten to the point where I like testing it like once a week just because I feel like I need to be getting that like constant feedback and validation of like, is this thing that I'm currently working on actually doing what I want it to do, or is it not heading in the right direction?
Mm,
And anytime that I take a long time between playtests, I tend to find that I'm wasting a lot of time on things that aren't actually as good as they are in my head. So I think it's really important in general.
yeah. How do you manage to get play testers that frequently?
I'm really lucky to have some really cool community members on the Discord for Chicken Scratch who come out to weekly testing when I host it most of the time. There was like a point in time before they started showing up where I would just set a time on like a weekly basis and just like show up. And if nobody else came, I would just work on the game and just treat it
Mhm.
as like I'm still getting some value out of this time, even if nobody shows up for playtesting. But I think I've been very lucky and fortunate to have people who have been willing to help support testing out the game a lot in the last few months of the development of the game. So,
That's amazing. And another way you've gotten to see people experience the game is through streamers. Uh,
mhm.
so yeah, what's it like being a dev in chat? Do you like to comment? Do you like to just lurk and see how people experience it, or what is that like?
I like to be pretty active whenever people are playtesting the game, just because especially want to like if it's like a smaller streamer, like they deserve to have someone in the chat there
Yeah,
participating and stuff while they're playing the game. And it's also just fun. It's fun having that sort of like personal connection with someone as they're playing the game. So if someone is playing it in like a live format, I really try to be there because I want. Uh, I guess I want to be there because I want to like sort of support them in playing the game, but also just in case there's any bugs with the game, I can sort of like help coach through if there's problems with
yeah,
stuff. So yeah, I like to be as present as possible for that sort of thing.
sure. And I know on the Steam page it mentioned there are plans for sort of further streaming support with audience interaction. So what might that look like?
Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking about a lot the last little while. So I've been talking with streamers and trying to get an idea about like what kinds of things would you want to see in the game, and they've sort of been trying to push me more towards having ways for their audience to interact with stuff. So not just like Twitch integration for the sake of Twitch integration, but trying to
Yeah.
find a way to make it so that audience members in the context of the game can feel like they're somehow a part of the experience. So we've been talking about like potentially having like different kinds of modes in the game where there's maybe some way that like the streamer can draw stuff and then everybody in the audience could try to guess what it was that they drew from like a set of
Ooh.
options or something like that. Like that'd be like the dream like best version of the integration possible.
Mhm.
But even just having it so that audience members can like type an emoji reaction and having it show up in the game so that they can sort of react alongside the streamer as they're seeing like this like crazy drawing, being like, how do they mess this drawing up that bad? It's being like question mark face and like angry face, sad face. So
Mhm.
trying to find different ways to make it more interactive for those audience members.
Totally, that dynamic element. That's really fun.
Mhm.
And another thing that I was very impressed by was you talked a bit about, marketing is part of what you do. And that 30-second promo you did to sum up the game on the Steam page, I thought that was just hilarious. How did you come up with that?
um, Honestly, a lot of marketing I found has just been like throwing stuff at the wall to just sort of see what does and doesn't work. And I think that one, I definitely seen some kind of video before. Like I don't know exactly where the genesis was for that, like the original video that I'd seen for that, but I just remembered seeing something where it was like almost like a challenge of like, can you summarize what it is you're trying to sell in just this really short period of time?
Mm.
And sort of like really leaning into that of like trying to do the take like in just this rushed way where it's like I'm almost out of breath trying to talk about all the stuff that's in the game. So I tried to lean into that. So I'm glad that you you thought that was good.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, thank you.
But I know also on the flip side, you mentioned, because I found you through Blue Sky, and there was a
Mm.
post on there where you mentioned that there are parts of putting the game out there and promoting it that you did not like.
Yeah. So I did Next Fest recently, which I guess for audience, in case anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's this like digital event that happens 3 times a year on Steam where upcoming games have this opportunity to showcase themselves.
Mm.
And so a few years ago, it was a lot more of, I think it was just like a more effective event for indie developers where I remember like you would have this like time slot where you get to stream your game and everyone would get to see it. It'd be like on the front page of Steam for like X amount of time. And so I remember doing that and just getting like so much engagement, so many people looking at the game that we were working towards releasing. And that was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And now it's like a lot more like you're in the event and it's up to you to get your game in front of people within the context of the event. So
Oh.
Steam, like they push your game a little bit, but it's like not as much as it used to be unless you're like one of the really big names in the context of the games that have signed up for it. So I feel like the opportunity with Next Fest now comes from this sort of place where streamers are playing Next Fest demos. Like there's just like a large number of people who are more willing to try out new games than there were previously, and just like when it's not during a Next Fest. So I spent like probably a full week just going into the chat of people who are live streaming games and just trying to be like, hey, like any chance you're looking for another demo to check out during your streams? And doing that over and over and over again was just like really exhausting. And like
Sure.
it did every time I would like lead up to posting a message in the chat, I would have to like sit there for like 30 seconds with the message typed out, being like, okay, deep breath before I send this. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? They could ban you from the chat, and that's what it is. And luckily, I didn't have anyone who was like to that level, but there
Mm.
were definitely a few people who it rubbed them the wrong way for me to be coming into their space and like more or less just be advertising there. So I don't love the feeling of having done some of that kind of stuff. In the sense of like I feel like I'm invading someone else's space and their performance that they're putting on in front of other people.
Mm.
Um, and so it's like there's that friction there that I don't like, and I feel uncomfortable about doing it. But it also led to like some amazing interactions with some
Oh.
streamers who like I just had like such a blast when they would try it out the game, and like I even played with some of them on their stream, and so like
Mm-hmm.
that part of it was like really validating and like made Next Fest like worth it for me. Like that experience of like interacting with streamers was like so awesome and rewarding and just like fun. But there was like the flip side of it, which was by the end of the week, I was like, I never want to talk to another human being ever again. So,
Sure. Yeah, it's that total 50-50 I find of
mhm,
any kind of reaching out to people. Even just sending an email for me is like I don't like the icky part of trying to push myself too much onto people, but also getting known and getting seen is essential to whatever you're doing.
it's a part of the job, whether you like it or not, type thing.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
But tell me more about sort of the successes of Steam Next Fest that you found.
um, yeah, I think honestly the streaming part was probably the biggest thing of just like there were a lot of like just like small wins of like individual reactions to the game that felt like just like really like inspiring, where it would be like a streamer and their friends would take they're more or less taking a shot on my game where it's like
Mm.
I could be offering them a game and it could just be total garbage. Like they're taking the risk that it could potentially be not a good game. And I just had like a few people who were like playing the game for like 5 hours straight on stream, which was
Wow.
just like it's like that sort of, when that happens, I'm like, okay, maybe there's like something with this game that's worth like keeping on going, even if I'm not like viral successful right now. I had one person, I don't know how serious they were about it, but they were saying like when the game comes out, I should message them because they were like, I'm gonna buy 6 copies of the game and give them to some people in my stream. So
Wow.
that was super cool to have that sort of reaction to the game.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mhm.
And so, moving forward, what is next for Chicken Scratch?
That's a great question. So I think my biggest priority right now is I want to sort of like, there's like the 2 game modes in the game. The one that I sort of showcased really heavily, which people really liked, and then there's another game mode which I'm like just not 100% happy with. Like this is just a persistent problem for me where the game design is never done. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping over the course of the next 2 months I could just like really iron out what I want that game mode to look like and what the specifics of it should be so that it's like on the same level as that other game mode. Um, and once I've gotten to that point, I think I'm just focusing on like polishing things up with the game, trying to make it so there's less bugs, everything's more stable, and then just looking ahead to like, I don't know, just like going on like a big 2 month long marketing blitz with the game and just seeing where it gets to with stuff and then release it and see what happens on that side of things. So
Yeah, it's all very exciting stuff. I guess it's that
mm,
there's that alternation between the working on the game and the marketing and the working on the game and the marketing that you've been finding.
yeah, it's a lot.
I'm sure. But
Mhm.
but it seems to be going well, so I'm really happy about that.
Oh, thank you.
I know also on the side I wanted to ask that you're also a professor at a college. What's that like?
Um, I would say I don't know if it's just me, but I'm technically quote unquote a professor. I feel like I'm like really just an instructor. Like
Oh,
I'm teaching at like a post secondary school,
mm,
but and like the title is professor, but it feels very lofty for what I'm doing, which is essentially just like teaching people how to make games. So um, I don't know if that's just like a weird thing for me, where it's like I feel like I bounce a little bit off the title and it feels more prestigious than what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, I do teaching of like game programming and game design related stuff at Sheridan College. And yeah, I find that aspect of it super rewarding. It's sort of like my day job that like allows me to be able to do game development on the side where I'm doing that instruction work part time, and it gives me enough sort of stability financially for me to be able to spend the other third to half of my time developing stuff for the game, even though it's like
mm,
not necessarily bringing in money at this point. So,
sure. But that's awesome, especially
mhm.
since you learned game development from an instructor, so it's kind of paying it forward.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I hopefully at least hopefully my students are feeling like they're getting that same kind of getting something from my experience with it. But yeah.
Yeah. And do you find that changes your approach to game design at all? Just seeing how your students are taking it?
Um, I definitely feel like I have become better at game development as a result of having done teaching in that space. Um, I don't know. I don't know if my students have necessarily inspired me to keep working on like anything in terms of game development stuff, but it definitely there are some students who their work is generally very inspiring. Of just like they're doing like they have like all of this like promise and potential and like
Ooh.
they have so many like cool and great ideas and different approaches to things. And actually, one of the there's like this capstone project for 4th year students in that program. And there's this one team that they were making a game, and so they started doing this sort of marketing campaign. And so they
Oh.
asked me for some advice forth. There's like, how do you think we should go about getting things out there? And so I was just trying to give them some of my experience when it comes to like YouTube shorts and that sort of thing. And so I recommended to them that they should plan out like a series of like 15 to like 30 videos and just like record all of them and just release them like one day after the other. Just because the algorithm tends to like it when you're like persistently releasing stuff
Yeah.
on like a frequent basis. And so they took that inspiration and then made like this like really funny premise of like they like led every one of their videos with this is the start of our journey where we need to get 10,000 wish lists or else the game dies. So they have this really funny hook for their videos, and it sort of inspired me where I was like getting to the point where I was getting in a bit of a lull with some of my marketing, and it sort of helped push me to go and start recording some marketing stuff again and try to break through in the same kind of way that they were. So
Wow. That's so cool they were able to take it that way and push it.
mhm.
So this is the Pixel Pizza podcast. Keely Brown, I have to ask, where is your favorite pizza place?
Oh, that's so tough. There's like a lot of really good pizza places in like my hometown of Hamilton. Oh, what was I think I have to go with like the nostalgia answer, which
Mm.
is there's this local pizza place called Emilio's where when I went to elementary school, I would like scrounge up a bunch of coins from my parents over the course of a few days to be able to walk over to Emilio's to buy a pair of pizza slices. And I have just like so many fond memories and so much nostalgia for that sort of experience. I'd probably have to go with that as my favorite
Sure.
place. So
Did your parents ever find out?
they probably knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just like, it's coins, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
you probably felt really proud.
Yeah. Yeah, probably in a bad way, but
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun chatting about game dev stuff.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. So where can people keep track of you in the game?
First and foremost, Steam. You can check out the game on Steam. Make sure to wish list it if you thought some of the stuff was interesting. That's like the best way to support uh, the continued development of the game and help Steam know that the game is worth taking a look at still. I'm also on Blue Sky. You can find me under Keely Brown on there. We have Instagram and TikTok as well, and also YouTube. So you can find us on all three of those places as well. So
Awesome. Well, I'll have those links in the description below. And thank you all out there so much for listening to another episode of Pixel Pizza. We are going to head off with one more track from Neon Cyan, and this one is called Modulate. So enjoy it, and we will see you next week with a brand new Pixel Pizza.